Hello everyone, welcome to kelechiqahub. This channel is all about software testing. So I'll be sharing software testing tutorials, guides and tips on how to be a software tester. So if this is something you would love to learn, just like, subscribe and hit the notification button so that when next I upload my video, you won't miss anyone. So without wasting much time, let's go straight to what we have today. So we're going to look at this is the introduction section. So we're looking at introduction introduction to software testing. So before then, we'll look at what is testing, right? And we'll look at what is software, right? Then we'll look at after then we'll look at what is software testing, right? Then we'll look at purpose of software testing. Finally, we look at skills of a software tester. So basically, this is what we're going to look at the moment. It's just an introductory section, so I won't want to overwhelm you guys. So now let's start with testing, right? What is testing, right? Now, testing is just testing is just checking, just checking to know if something something works well or as expected. That's testing, right? Now, when you cook your meal, when you make your food at home, you check, you do some form of checking. Like you check if there's a salt, you check if it's spicy, you check if it's well, uh, whether you need to add, or I don't know, any other thing you want to add so that it will come out nice, right? That's testing. So why are you checking all these things? You're checking because you want your food to be well prepared, right? Now, also when you go to the mall, when you go to get a clothes for yourself, you also do some form of checking. You check if it's your size and stuff like that. All these things are forms, different forms of checking, right? So directly or indirectly, we are doing checking. Maybe we don't know that, but we are actually doing what we call testing, right? Because we've tested all these things. Now, let me use another scenario. Now, when we go to the store to get phone, or let's say laptop, right? And we begin to check some of its functionality, like power button, power, power button. So we turn up the power button to see if the phone or the laptop would turn on. That's testing, right? Now, once if the power button or when you turn on the power button and the phone or the laptop turns on, right? That's a pass test, right? But if it fails to turn on, right? Then it's a failed test. So here testing is complete. right? Because we are checking to know if the phone, the laptop is working, right? So we've actually done testing. Now that we've now that we know what testing is, let's talk about software. So what is software, right? Software. Now software are sets of programs that performs specific specific tasks, specific tasks, right? Softwares are a set of programs that performs specific tasks. Now, when we say software, what do we mean? Now, there were examples of software. You could say Amazon, Amazon application, Amazon application. It's a software, right? Amazon, I think have here. Okay, this is Amazon app. Is a software. So what is this software doing? Or what is this application doing? We use it for shopping. So it makes it easy for users to shop. We also have Jumia. Jumia, right? Jumia is also another e-commerce software application, right? Now, another application is Google Doc, Google Doc, which is what I'm using here. So what is it used for? Writing, writing document, right? We can have another one, Excel sheet, right? Or Google Sheet, whichever one, Excel sheet, right? What is it for? Data entry, right? I think I have here. Yes, this is an example of your Excel sheet, right? So you document. This is basically what software test, manual software testers use. So we'll talk about this, or we talk about this. So these are examples of software, right? So there are a set of applications that perform specific tasks. Now, softwares are different from hardware, right? Hardware. Now, software's applications are the applications that are installed inside hardware, right? Softwares, software applications are applications installed installed inside the hardware. Although some softwares are web-based, right? Just like Amazon. Some you might decide to install it in your phone, the application, or you might decide to use it as a web-based. So it's still an application though, right? Why hardware are physical component, physical part of a phone, right? E.g., example, phone battery, phone battery, phone battery. So these are difference between software applications and hardware, right? Now we've talked about software, we've talked about testing, Now let's talk about software. What is software testing, right? What is software testing? Now, software testing, sorry, software testing is the verification and the validation of a software product, right? That's software testing. We can also talk about, we can also say software testing is the process of checking, checking the software application to ensure it meets users' needs, right? Now, this is what we're saying. Now, checking to see if this software meets user needs. So, as user wants to use it to shop, is it going to meet their needs? That's what. So testers here, the test is before this application has been launched. Testers has carried some form of testing to to know that whether it meets users' needs. That's what it's saying, right? Now, the job of this verification, validation, and checking to know if it meets users' needs. Whose job is it? The job of software tester. So software testers are responsible for verification, validation of a software product. Also, they are responsible to checking if software meets user needs. In essence, they bring about they check quality, they ensure quality of a software product, right? Now, the question is, how do testers carry out this big taxing job, right? How do they do it? Now, in order to check for quality of a software product, testers carry out testing process with the aid of requirement documents, right? Document, document. A software cannot do testing without documents. Now, example of the document is we have the requirement document, product requirement, the requirement document. We have a business requirement document, business requirement document. We have a software requirement document. There are lots of documents, requirement document. Just listing some of them. You can have so I have user stories, right? User stories, most especially for small firm, small organization use user stories, right? Acceptance criteria, acceptance criteria, right? Now they use this product requirement document to carry out the testing, right? Not only that, too, they also write test cases, test cases, test case documentation, so they document test case documentations for manual testing or test script. Test script, right? Test script is for automation. You want to automate your the software using tools like Cypress, right? That's one automation tool, right? So these are some of the tools that software testers use in carrying out in testing software product. Now, these requirement documents are being prepared by the BA, business analyst. Software testers don't prepare uh, they don't prepare document, right? It's the job of the BAs, business analyst, right? Now, how do they do it? How do they go about doing these things? Now, let me use an example. Let's say we could have we could have a case where this being prepared by the business analyst. We could say, let's say you want to test, want to build something like this, and we have login feature, right? We login features. Now, say you have a user story like given that, given that, right? Given that I am on the sign in page, right? And I have I have provided my valid data, right? And I click on the login button. Then I should be directed to my account page. Of course, this is not a clear. This is just a sketch work, right? I just want to use this to explain what how they go about testing, right? So, given that I am on the sign in page, and I have provided my valid data, and I click on the login button, then I should be directed to my account page, right? Now, before tester we start testing, the team, right? The team would have agreed what is valid and what is invalid, right? So, what is termed valid and what is termed invalid? So, let's say we have a valid data. For the valid data, we have a name and password, right? Name and password. So, what is now the valid name and what is the valid password? So, the valid name, let's use a valid name. Let's say uh, we have something like this, Kevin, John, right? This is a valid name, right? This is what the team agreed that should be a valid name. And the password, password should be, they agree that password will be uppercase, right? Special character and number, right? So this is what the team agreed that it's valid. Valid, right? So anything other than this will be termed invalid. Anything other than this will be termed invalid. So the team have agreed that this is valid, right? So anything that a user is inputting apart from this format is invalid. So the system should not accept it. That's it. Now, this process I just discussed is what we called verification phase. This process is what we call verification phase or verification phase, right? Now, the verification phase focuses on now this phase focuses on checking if the requirement requirement document design code etc are followed correctly, right? Correctly before testing begins, right? So this phase I just explained is what we call verification phase, right? Now, after the team have agreed that this is what is valid, right? Now, and the developer have built the application, which is something like this, right? Now he gives the URL, he sends the URL to URL is sent to the tester, right? Developer, right? Now the tester will now check. Tester will now test. Now, how does the tester? How does it carry out the testing? Now we've agreed that the team have agreed that this is valid and any other thing here is invalid. Now in that login page, login, login page, right? Login page. Now we'll go back to this our feature here. So given that I am on the sign in page, right, which is login, and I have provided my validator and I click on the login button, then I should be redirected to my account. So I have provided my validator. So the validator here is Kelvin. Kelvin. So this sorry, Kelvin, right, for the name, and John. Now tester will now create different scenarios, right? Positive scenarios and negative scenarios to test this login, and to see if the user was redirected to his account page, right? Now, this phase of testing and creating of positive and negative scenarios is what we call validation, validation phase, validation phase, right? So we'll talk more about this in my upcoming videos, right? So I don't want to overwhelm you. So I just wanted you to see how testers perform their function to determine the quality of a software product, right? So we have discussed about, we've talked about software testing, we've talked about software, talked about testing. Now let's go to purpose, purpose software testing, right? So imagine that you are trying to, or you send money to a family member, right? And after sending the money, uh, your account balance did not display, or it was short. It was not calculated properly. Let's say you have your account balance was 20,000, right? And you sent 5,000, right? So 20 minus 5 should be 15 balance, right? You should be having 15 balance, 15,000 balance as 15,000 naira as your balance. But you're not seeing 7,000 naira. That's an error, right? In software, we call it bug. In software, we call it bug. So one of the purpose of software testing is to, one, find, fix errors. So before an application gets to the end users, software testers will have checked all these errors, right? Making sure that all these errors, especially the ones that affect the overall functionality of the product, are eliminated. Although in software testing, there's no 100% bug free, but still, you can still achieve some level of percentage, right? So one of the purpose is to fix, find and fix error, right? Another one is to make sure that that the software meets software meets client needs. Now, to make sure that the software meets client needs, right? So imagine that you have your bank app. You've opened your bank app. You've logged in inside. You've performed some transaction, and you logged out. And after you want to log in again, it's not recognizing your data again. That's a big error, right? So software tester try to fix these things. So it's try to fix that, make sure that the software meets your needs, because your needs is to, you are there to make some transactions, right? Or let's say this Amazon app, after creating an account, you did some shopping and you logged out. And when you log in again, it's not recognizing your data again, right? It doesn't really make sense. So that's one of the purpose of testing. Another one is right, to keep software safe, safe and reliable, reliable, right? Yes, one of the reasons why we test is so that mm, users' data are safe, right? Your user data are safe, just like most of all these social app where you have your data. You don't want your data to be outside, right? For anybody to come and pick it up. So that's why there's a need for us to carry out testing so that this will so that we'll make sure that the applications are when you log into your application, when you open applications, your data that you imputed are safe. Right. Another one is to save time. To save time and money. Right. So when bugs are detected on time during the development phase, it saves time and money than when it is detected after the application gets to the end users, right? It doesn't really make sense that. So to save time, money, and even reputation and company's reputation and company's reputation, reputation, right? So these are some of the purpose of software testing. So we've looked at what is testing, we've looked at what is software, looked at what is software testing, we looked at purpose or reasons for of software testing. Now let's look at skills of a software tester, right? So for you to become a software tester, what are the skills you should have? One is a communication skill. Communication skill, right? You should be able to communicate properly and effectively to the developer, right? To communicate, for instance, if there's a bug or an error, you should be able to communicate effectively in the right terminologies to the developer, right? We attach it with screenshots so that the developer will know what you are actually saying, right? If it's not properly communicated, it will be difficult for the developer to understand what you are saying. Now, all these things we'll talk about how communication in upcoming videos, right? Because there are certain terminologies and certain usage of words that you should use to communicate properly and effectively with developer, right? About another one is mm, time management skill, time management, right? Time management skill. So you're able to know how to manage time. You prioritize which, because of course, in developing these things, when you want to develop a product, right? When you want to be there, the product owners will give you time, right? There will be time for everything. It could be 1 year or 6 months or whatever, right? So as a software tester, you should know how to prioritize which features should be tested first, which shouldn't be, right? So you should know how to manage your time. Another one is technical skill, right? Technical skill. This is very, very important as a software tester. Now, skills like knowing how to write test case document, right? This is an example of test case document here. Yes, this is an example of test case document. This is a personal project I did. So Guru banking test case sheet, right? This is an example, right? So test case document, right? She know how to write bug reports either with Jira or even here. You can use Microsoft Word to write it, Microsoft Sheet to write it, or you can use Jira. You should know how to test case document, bug report, um, um, let's say automation skill to know how to automate to automation, or writing of test script, test script, right? Using automation tools like Cypress. Yes, because you don't want to stay on as a manual software tester, right? So you need to upgrade to automation, right? So which is very good. So automation skills is very, very necessary as a software tester using Cypress, Selenium, Playwright, and just like that, right? Mm, Um, SQL, right? SQL for data retriever, right? For data retriever. Also, you should know how to test API testing, API testing, because uh, this is like the background of modern website. So it's a bridge between back end, back end. API is a bridge between back end, back end and front end, right? Front end. So you should know, as a tester, you should know how to test API. We'll talk about this in my upcoming videos. Don't worry, I will bear everything out for you guys. Yes, everything I've learned, I will buy it out and it's free. Just what you just need to do is to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button so that when next I make videos on these things, you won't miss them out. So these these are some of the skills that a software tester should know. Some of them. You can go ahead and add performance testing, right? Performance test, right? Using tools like K6 or JMeter or Gatling, JMeter, right? K6. So you want to know how the application is performing. If 50, for instance, if 50, 100, 200, 3 people are using it at the same time. So for instance, this is a shopping app, an e-commerce app rather. So if 100 people are at the same time using this, so you want to understand how it works, how the system will behave. Will it crash? How will it behave? Will it be slow? Right? That's what performance testing is all about. So we can use cases, we can use JMeter. Also, good to have is um, knowledge of programming, um, know how to coding skill, right? Know how to write um, JavaScript, Python, any script language. JavaScript this is one popular, right? JavaScript or Java, and even Python, right? These script language are very popular. For instance, Cypress is built on Cypress. If you have a knowledge of JavaScript, you can write Cypress. You can write K6, right? So these are some skills that tester should have. Should have. It's very important, right? So we've talked about testing, the meaning of testing. We've talked about what is software. We've talked about what is software testing. We've looked into purpose. We've looked into skills of a software tester. So thanks for watching, guys. See you in my next video. And don't forget